According to Shams Charania, I'll vet out this just to make sure that he's correct on this. I'll check with my sources, but the Christmas schedule has been released, always anticipated, and a nice little. It gives you a good feel of where teams are at around the league and how the league views certain teams and certain players. So it's always fun, right? There's always some teams that feel like they got snubbed. There's a few teams in mind when you look at this list here. And I think there's some pretty fun matchups. Now we're starting out the Knicks. This is like the Cowboys always getting the 3:00 slot on Thanksgiving Day. The Knicks getting the first game of Christmas Day at Madison Square Garden. Every single year it's going to happen. And, of course, especially now that the Knicks are actually a really good basketball team. Spurs at Knicks. So immediately, off the rip, this is very controversial. People can't believe the Spurs are in it. Obviously, the Spurs were a bad basketball team a season ago, but they have Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama getting a Christmas Day game, that felt obvious. That felt incredibly obvious, especially considering how well he played at the end of the season, and especially considering the old guard, they're getting old, okay? LeBron's got gray all in his beard. Steph is getting old. All of these guys are getting old, and the NBA is desperately looking for the next face of the league. Tatum feels like an obvious answer. He just doesn't have the aura. Dare I use that word? Anthony Edwards is a pretty good candidate for this. Luka, anytime I say this, Mavs fans are Luka. Luka's not going to be the face of the league. Okay, he's just not. I love him to death. He's my favorite player. You guys know this. Luka's not going to be the face of the NBA. Okay? Grown man talking about aura. I know. Wemby is going to be pushed as the face of the league. So they're giving him the first game on Christmas Day in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. I get it. I understand where they're coming from. Now, is it a great basketball matchup? No, the Knicks should be favored by probably like 11 points in that game. But it does make sense. Wemby has been objectively pooping his pants all Olympics, but the glazing is insane. His shot's not falling. He's not afraid to shoot the three ball. I'll give him that. But his defense has still been good. And he's, 20 years old? Like, he's the second-year player. So I understand. I understand the expectations for him are very high. And look, I've said the same. He's got a GOAT chance here to somehow miraculously pull a gold medal out of his ass against Team USA. I don't think it's going to happen. But Wemby was incredible at the end of the season. Wemby was absolutely incredible over the final 20 to 30 games of the season. And it makes sense. They're pushing him, okay? Get used to it. This will probably be a continuous thing for the San Antonio Spurs as long as Victor Wembanyama is on the roster. Expect a lot of Spurs games. So we're starting out here. Then we go Timberwolves at Mavericks. This was rumored for a couple of weeks now that this would be the Christmas Day matchup. I personally think Thunder at Mavericks would have been a little bit more interesting to me, especially from a Mavs fan's perspective on things, okay? That was a more competitive series, I thought. There's more seeds planted for that to be an interesting rivalry over the years. There's obviously the closeness geographically. And OKC, I think, is good enough to have deserved a Christmas Day game, especially with a guy who finished runner-up in MVP voting, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that's actually something I've forgotten over time, that Luka was third in MVP voting. I don't know why I was kind of operating under the assumption for a while now that Luka was second in MVP voting, but he was actually third. But you get a Western Conference Finals rematch. They like doing playoff rematches on Christmas. You know, I'm thinking of, what was that, 2021, 2022 Christmas Day when the Mavs played the Clippers and the Mavs won by 50 points. You guys remember that? That was insane. Timberwolves at Mavericks. I like it. I see, Luka has been in 5 straight Christmas Day games, so he is a draw. They want him on Christmas Day. They usually put the Mavericks in early time slots. That wasn't the case last year. Obviously, they played in Phoenix the last game of the night, but I think it's kind of a European thing. Do you think if MVP was voted on after the playoffs, Luka would have won? Maybe. Maybe. The thing is like, while I think Luka was good in the playoffs. He was obviously dealing with a knee injury. I thought that series against Minnesota was insane, but it wasn't like the Luka we grew accustomed to in the playoffs. But this is the fun matchup. Anthony Edwards, obviously a huge draw, similar to the Wemby thing. Like, they're looking for the future face of the league. Anthony Edwards, definitely a pretty big candidate for that. Luka's obviously a draw, and it's a fun little matchup in Dallas. Should be fun, man. So is offense and defense 50-50. In basketball, no, absolutely not. Then we have the 76ers at Celtics. Fun matchup. No problem with this matchup at all. You know, historic rivalry there in Boston. They just won the NBA Finals. Them hosting a Christmas Day game, of course. 76ers reloaded. Should be a lot of fun. Lakers at Warriors. All right, so basketball-wise, this is the game that sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. Both of these teams, on paper at least, entering the season, look to be way past their primes. Both these teams look to be middling play-in teams, maybe 5 or 6 seeds at best. But it's LeBron James versus Steph Curry. Like, Lakers versus Warriors is Celtics Shaq versus Raptors Hakeem. Yeah, but it's LeBron James versus Steph Curry. The league doesn't know how much longer they can milk this one, so we're milking it. Vegas has both teams favored to not make the playoffs. Okay, well, there you go. But they're milking this one. I know from a basketball standpoint, the Bucks aren't in here. The Thunder, obviously, much rather have the Thunder than either of these two teams. I'd rather have the Magic over these two teams. I'd rather have the Grizzlies over these two teams. But, of course, they're not going to do that. LeBron versus Steph. How many times have they played Christmas? I mean, you had that classic one. What year was that? The Cavs and Warriors, back when they actually had cool Christmas jerseys. Was that what, 2018? I know, the current iteration of both these teams, this just doesn't seem like a very fun matchup, but obviously, was it 2016? This was obviously always going to be a game, I thought. Or both these teams being involved. Has LeBron ever not been in a Christmas Day game? I'm trying to think now. I know the Mavs played. Who'd the Lakers play last year? Mavs played the Lakers 2 years ago on Christmas Day. Should be Thunder, Mavs, Lakers, Suns, Denver, Minnesota. Celtics. Then to close out Christmas night, it was the Nugget. It is the Nuggets at Phoenix, which I do agree. Nuggets Minnesota is fun. Like, if we're doing playoff rematches as kind of a part of the draw, Timberwolves Nuggets is fun. And Mavericks Thunder I think is fun. The Thunder are the biggest snub here. They were the 1 seed in the West last year. They got better. They have a star in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Just not a draw, I guess. Just not a draw. Nuggets Sun is a fun throwback. Yeah, and the Suns with Kevin Durant and stuff, they want them in there. They're a nice little West Coast team to have put in the last time slot. OKC is not marketable. Yeah, and I guess that's really what it kind of boils down to. All of these picks make sense when you kind of look at it through that lens. Jokic just won an MVP. He's got to be there. Kevin Durant is still a huge draw. And there is some, history between the Nuggets and the Suns. Can you build your ideal Christmas schedule? All right, so if we just accept the Knicks are going to get the opening game no matter what, that's just what we're accepting. Okay, cool. I'm in on that. I think it makes sense. Madison Square Garden, even if the Knicks aren't good, which they will be good, it's always popping. Orlando versus Knicks. That's pretty good. Now, I kind of like the idea of conference rivalries. It makes the games feel like they have a little bit more stakes. Knicks Pacers, you could go a rematch of that playoff series for sure. I was about to say Celtics at Knicks is fun because that could actually be an Eastern Conference Finals preview. But I'll just say that the Celtics deserve a home game on Christmas Day, so we'll give them that. Grizzlies Knicks, that could have been fun as well. Now, if I'm just going from a pure basketball perspective, basketball fan, I actually don't mind this Spurs at Knicks game. I think it'd be fun to see Wemby on Christmas Day in Madison Square Garden. I actually think this is a pretty good pick. To be completely and totally honest with you, I'm okay with leaving this one as is. Timberwolves at Mavericks. I'm pulling this game. I'm keeping it in Dallas, and I'm going OKC. I'm going OKC at Mavs. You get OKC on Christmas Day. You get a rematch from the playoffs last year. You get what could very well be a Western Conference Finals preview. '76ers at Celtics. Now, just from my hating brain, I'm pulling the Sixers. I'm getting them out. We'll keep this game in Boston. And I was just thinking, maybe you could do, if you don't do OKC at Mavericks, maybe you could do OKC at Celtics. The two favorites in their respective conferences. That would be fun, huh? Actually, let's do that. Let's do that. So let's go Spurs at Knicks. Then who would the Mavericks matchup be? It sucks that the Suns Mavericks rivalry is pretty much dead because I feel like you could milk that forever. I feel like you could milk that for eternity. Kings? Oh, who wants to watch the fucking Kings? And God bless the Kings. God bless them. Who wants to watch the Kings? Did we forget we wanted Mavs and Warriors? The Mavs-Warriors matchup on Christmas Day is only really interesting to me if it's in Golden State and you could do the whole Clay, and it's Clay's first game back. But you can't do that. The Mavericks deserve a home game. Love you too, Dustificator. 76ers Clippers? Hell no. Hell no. I kind of like Denver versus Dallas. All right, so we'll go Spurs Knicks. I like that game. I actually do. Give the Knicks their home game and give Wemby first game of Christmas Day. I feel like that's usually the most popular one. That's Mavs at Jazz. That was an interesting time. That was peak COVID too. Who even played in that game? I had COVID in that game and slept through the entirety of it. So we'll go Spurs at Knicks. We'll go Nuggets at Mavericks. I like that. Then let's go Thunder at Celtics. I like that. Lakers at Warriors, I'm taking off the table entirely. Now we're just going pure basketball. I'm taking it off the table. I don't care to see either of these teams. Who are we slotting in? I want to give the upstart Magic a game. I want to get them in there. Could we do Bucks at Orlando? There was some interesting stuff between those two teams last year. Mavs versus Celtics. Well, I'm operating from the standpoint the Mavericks and Celtics both deserve a home playoff game, a home Christmas game. Not near enough history there. Okay. I think Grizzlies Magic. That's fun, actually. Bucks in Indiana. Okay, Bucks in Indiana. Well, there was some like end of season. Remember, there was some end of season last year. Like Orlando, if they win a couple games, they could overtake the Bucks. Grizzlies Magic is actually kind of fun. Grizzlies Magic. Grizzlies. It's a risk. It's a risk putting the Grizzlies in there because what if they're trash? Like what if they come back? Edie's not good. They have no center. Jaren Jackson Jr. is averaging 6 rebounds a game, and they're just not that good. No one's watching Grizzly Magic at Christmas. Yeah, I know. We're taking ratings out of the equation. We're just going strictly basketball. Otherwise, we'd keep the Lakers and Warriors in. They're going to be the biggest. That's going to be the highest rated game of the day. Okay. Pelicans. Okay, no. I don't want Pelicans. I don't want the Pelicans. Magic Denver. No. KCP revenge game doesn't have enough oomph. Doesn't have enough oomph. Grizzlies, Wolves. Heat, Bucks. I'm out on the Heat. I don't know what the fuck they're going to look like. I'm trying to think about either teams that I know will be fun and entertaining to watch, in if the Spurs, for example, with Wemby, or good. Wolves, Bucks. So this slot right here is the slot that we're considering, because I'm telling you right now, we're going Timberwolves, Suns for the final game. We're closing it out. Timberwolves, Suns, playoff rematch. We're locked and loaded there. I think that's a fun one. We're trying to figure out who we slot in right here. And I want it to be an Eastern Conference team. I think the Suns, the more I think about the Suns, I think they're going to be pretty damn good this upcoming season. And I'm in on Minnesota versus Phoenix being a matchup. Cleveland. How about we just, you know what? I'm sorry, Orlando. I'm sorry. Why don't we just do Milwaukee and Indiana? It's fun. It's like out of all of these matchups, it would be like the most actual real rivalry. They don't like each other. It's fun. And yeah, let's put it in Indiana. That crowd would be fucking crazy. That's what we're doing. So the slightly biased Christmas Day schedule. We're going Spurs at Knicks. We're keeping it. I kind of like it the more I thought about it. We're going Nuggets at Mavericks. Then we're going Thunder at 76ers. Then we're going Bucks at Indiana. Timberwolves at Suns. Wow. I mean, I don't. Silver, I'm available, man. I really am. I know I make jokes and stuff. I'm available. I did. I said Thunder Celtics. Spurs Knicks. Nuggets Mavericks. Thunder Celtics. Bucks Pacers. Timberwolves Suns. Oh, did I say 76ers? All right, 76ers are out in this scenario. Sorry. That's just the hater in me. Lakers, Warriors out. Let's get serious. The Nuggets are boring and ass. No one's trying to watch them. They're not boring. It would be Jokic versus Luka. That's fun. That is fun. And two, potential Western Conference Finals matchup or Western Conference playoff matchup. What would be a fun opening day matchup? Opening day is always weird to me. Blazers versus Hornets. That would be funny if they said one Christmas Day game is going to be two tanking teams. The world must see what's going on.